one of the things that is really coming through in what I would call the secret papers that the insiders know to go to a certain website, and then it's got a due date where it dies, okay? And the information is preposterously wicked. That's the only way. It is so out of our context of understanding. I just said, digital beheading, technological beheading. Well, if they're reading your thoughts or controlling your mind, they're programming you. Trust me, where does the humanity cease? That's the point. The whole thing is a war on God. It's a war on His creation. Like when a woman gets mad at a man or a man gets mad at a woman, if they tear up the image, a photograph, or cut half the image off, that's what Satan does to mankind. You can't get to God.
That's a good word picture. That's a really good word picture.
Yeah. So you are the image, but only through Jesus Christ is the likeness of God, that we might be like Him.
Okay.
Look, that takes an act of God's power through His Spirit on His life. Well, Jesus wouldn't do that. Well, my answer when people tell me that, if I use a certain word or I'm angry, well, Jesus wouldn't do that. Let me make it simple. I'm not Jesus, okay? and I've never claimed to be, contrary to some people's remarks. But the thing is that, Doug, so few people, thank God that you allow this forum, and I mean that genuinely, will even allow the Jesus word.
Yeah.
I mean, I won't tell you who, but a major talk show host, which I will not go on his show ever again, basically said, I don't want you to talk about this. I don't want you to talk about that. Well, guess what? Then I got nothing to say anymore. So, contrary to, people's perceptions are not accurate. And because people won't do their homework, I think they look to you, who does your homework on your subject matter. I really do my homework. And God in His mercy, here's what I want to share. This is really critical. Years and years ago, almost, I'm approaching half a century ago, the Lord Himself spoke to me. Some people said, well, I don't believe God speaks to you. Only crazy people think that God speaks to you. But here's what He said. If you will be willing, Steve, to warn my people of what's coming, I will bring you the people that know. Because my simple statement was, Lord, I don't know anybody. I live in Montana. I like living in Montana. I spent 20 years in my man cave, never even having to be out on, you can only find one bad picture of me. Now there's probably a million bad pictures of me. But the point is that I did not want to come out of my cave. Enter my dear sister Romy Zaret, my intercessor for all these years, and you're going to love this. She said, well, I was praying for you, Steve, and the Lord showed me He's going to pull you out of your cave and put you before the public. And my immediate thought is, that day will never happen. That's what my first response was.
And look at you now.
Yeah, so I learned the word, the statement, never say never.
That's right.
And here's the, Doug, I'm grateful for the people that take the word. I'm telling people now, please, it's critical that you understand that we are at a time-sensitive point. And I want to read one thing that Dave Hodges put on his website today. I'm looking for the titles. Revelations from the Underworld, Our Hidden History. Dave has a lot more knowledge in this, and he's kept it for a specific time. I told Dave, I said, Dave, here's why you're keeping it for a specific time. Now it's your time to release it, just like I've sat on stuff, Doug, and I sent you some of it for 40 years. And you know that, right?
Yes.
So now there's a context of understanding. Whether it took on Fox, MSNBC, and what people perceive as a real portal into the real world, flying saucers outmaneuvering F-18s and all those breaking stories. By the way, I have a friend that lives in the area where all those flying saucers are encountered, and he's sending me stuff saying, Steve, it's just mind-boggling what's going on out there now. So, in people that live in the Baja, keep your eyes open to the western skies. So here's what Dave writes, and it's really pretty important, the encapsulation. This is on his article today. It should be obvious that what is being said here in his article cannot be overlooked and can summed up in the following way. Mankind's knowledge is purposely being repressed so as to control humanity for the purpose of others. And I would have only added otherworlders, okay? We are the latest generation of humans living on this planet whose existence has been tampered with as we advance to the stage of being a threat. It is clear that one time humans occupied both Mars and Earth before their civilization was destroyed and mankind was forced to start over again. The fact that were they humans or were they fallen angels, that's the only place that I would differ with Dave on that statement. Now, here's what he said, and this is the bottom line. Mankind is facing its biggest challenges mankind is facing its biggest challenge as encountering entities which directly confront and seek to overthrow God and whose intent is to destroy mankind. And he put God's most previous creation, that's God's most precious creation. His spell check didn't pick it up. There is a general ignorance as to the importance of the aliens created us. The whole issue of stargates, portals, pyramids, and transportation is one that is so fascinating. Because, some of the stuff, it's important to understand stuff like, okay, Steve, I want to take a vacation to Alpha Centauri. Okay, 4.4 light years away. I think that's one my wife would suggest I take alone. There's a story to that, but I won't tell it right now. The ancient ruins that, a couple of our films have covered, whether they're in Sardinia, in Rome, obviously Peru, obviously Bolivia, different people covering them all over the world, Egypt. All of those have a commonality that's interesting. They so many times are built on ley lines. Ley lines are the Earth's force fields, or the field around the Earth that come into contact. And all of the different, I would say this, texts that I've encountered, and even the Book of Enoch. And by the way, and most people that want to use the Book of Enoch of the earth being held up on pillars and being flat, that's not what the pillars of Enoch were. What the pillars of Enoch are, given to me by a man whose middle name means truly is Enoch. And I've said it before, but the pillars of Enoch, okay, are three equidistant, almost semicircular arcs over a round base. On the round base, these things come up out of the ground. How do you bring them up out of the ground? Well, I'll only say so much, but, I don't know how. Pause, yet. And somebody said, well, what do you want to know that stuff for? Because I believe that God said there's nothing that's been hidden that isn't going to be revealed. And my prayer, Doug, even today before going on with you on the air is, Lord, don't let me go any place that would cause undue fear or cause undue, bewilderment. So I'm just telling you this. I don't know how much of this stuff I will get to, but when you learn the basic of the controls, like all of the glyph is just a picture. Just imagine an Egyptian hieroglyph painted on a specific rock out of a specific material, and at some place in the vicinity of the circular designation for Stargate or the known designation for a Stargate, there's an indentation. Might seem awkward, might be pear-shaped, might be whatever. That glyph on that stone is what opens the Stargate, brings it up.
Like a key, right?
It's like a key.
Yeah.
Yep. And so, words associated with, but again, what I'm going to be presenting, Lord willing, and I never knew this, but fortunately God brings the people that can help me. Why is this important? Because people are going to see stuff not of this planet, not of this dimension showing up. And if you understand, the nature of deception, what I'm trying to do to the best of my God-given ability while I still have breath on this earth, Doug, is to undermine the foundation of deception. The basis of that deception is the aliens created us. And I tell people this who are openly Satanists, who are into the occult, whatever realm of magic, M-A-G-I-C-K, ritual magic, whatever you're into. Isn't it interesting that you cannot say the name of Jesus, but yet there is an evil entity who hates God, and therefore your hate is projected to God and his people. But if that hate is real, and it's identified even by the Bible or even ancient history, you can redefine the terms, but you can't escape the fact that there is good and evil. But Jeremiah, I believe, was a prophet, either Jeremiah or Isaiah. One of them said, "Woe unto them who call evil good and good evil." And that's the problem we have right now. And so the problem is white men are evil. Kill white men. Humans are evil. You know, Doug, when I wrote my book, Terminated, the end of man is here, I didn't say the end of man is near. I said the end of man is here. And now you've got all these revelations about your brain is a last thing to be hacked. I would say that it doesn't get any plainer than that. You had me on years ago, and I think you said this. It was hard for you to embrace that someday there'd be robots that would be so sexually articulate that men seek robots versus men. Or actually, men do, and women. You know. And by the way, they now have gay bots. And I hate to say it, they got petabots. They got animal bots. Okay. They have robots to satisfy every perversion of mankind.